Looks like it worked, you guys. I will put the YouTube link also in the free chat here. I will share my screen, but maybe, just maybe it's not gonna work. I don't know. Then you'll be able to click the link here in the chat. Let's see. That should be the one. What's up, Quackers and Tick and Onrod and Kill Coffee and everybody? Is there a screen? Can you guys see this? All right. I'm also on YouTube. I see it. Yes, perfect, you guys. We've got some earnings. Actually, have to check what the second ticker is, but the first one definitely is OZK, so Bank OZK. Let's kind of see what market capitalization we're working with here. Looks like about a 5 billion stock. I was just looking at this even a few minutes ago, right? We got a big bullish fair value gap here on the daily time frame. So I'm gonna look on a lower time frame now. Let's go to the 1 minute or so on extended trading hours and see if we're gonna get a big earnings move. And you guys, what I want to see here before I'm gonna consider, because I actually think it is providing an interesting setup, but it really has to give me the setup that I want. As long as you can join early, you can watch the stream. When it reaches a certain amount of people, it doesn't allow you to watch the live stream. That's my theory here. I mean, I've yet to see that theory be proven wrong, so that might be very well true. So what I was saying is there is actually a good setup that could be loading here on Bank OZK, but what we're going to need at the very, very least is a move back into this big green box, right? If it does not give a move back into this big green box, then there will be no long setup whatsoever for me, at least here in the short term. Let's see, Bank OZK fourth quarter and full year 2024 management comments. Let me just click away the spam for now so that we can actually have a very good look at the gap that we're gonna play from here. So the low from yesterday, Wednesday, is 44.56. The high from Monday is 42. That means there's a big old gap between 42 and 44.56. That also means as long as we're not going to get back and basically rebalance and at the very least step into this green box, I'm not interested, right, to touch this long. Because if I'm going to go long from anywhere here, right, I'm going to go long just slightly above obvious daily fair value. And what I require, right, is a move that at least is going to take us back into that green box. If we get such a move, right, I don't know. Hopefully we do, and it sure looks like we might. Let's zoom in here on the 1 minute, right? I want to see a clean downtrend or just a straight nuke. Again, I'm getting all kinds of messages, probably about what they're reporting right now. But what I want to see, like I said, is some clean price action that takes us below 44.59, right? That's step one. You could just theoretically have this chart on there. It's a $44 stock. If we're looking for upside, we're going to definitely get at least a 5% move out of this, right? What I want to see is a downtrend into that green box. And then basically that price can basically spring back up above it. That is going to basically give me the confidence that, yeah, we get a big earnings snook down just to kind of Uno reverse it. But this is just not the setup here for me yet. So we're currently trading at $45.60. I would like to see this at the very least, and whether it's now or tomorrow, go down 2.2% from here. Let's see. OZK posts Q4 EPS 1.56 versus fact set estimates of 1.44. Looks like they're doing well out there, you guys. But it's not a reason for me to deviate from my setup, because it's about playing defense, not offense. I'm looking to only trade, right, what I know is optimal, and something like this would be very optimal. if OZK at any point, by the way, gets below $42 again with a daily closure, it's basically it's going to be over. So at that point, we would be looking lower down. Let's see on the 1 minute again. I really hope we get some decent price action out of this, not just kind of sitting up there doing nothing. Maybe let's take a look at Nasdaq's earnings calendar to see what the others were here. So today is Thursday, right? I want to see after earnings, so JB Hunt as well, of course. Let's put in two things here. All right, so JB Hunt is going to be the second stock here on the daily time frame. I think is going to look very, very similar, to be honest, the setup. So same thing here. We were recently going up and we're leaving behind some nice gaps. And before touching this long, I'm at least gonna require this to come back into my gaps. Let's see. Why am I getting logged out here? That's just odd. Let's reconnect this quick. Thank you. Anyways, let's see. Can I reconnect my mouse as well, please? Let's see. Looks like Bank OZK is moving on the 1 minute. That's all fine. If it wants to go and move up higher, then it's going to leave behind new daily time frame bullish fair value gaps. And then I'm anyways going to look for a long position, for example, from any of those gaps. Let's see. My magic mouse here is having a tough time, you guys. Maybe I'm gonna have to do the rest of all of this just with my mouse pad. That's gonna not be ideal, but anyways. Look, let's zoom in here a little bit because big green candlestick, but the volume is so little. Otherwise, it would keep up there, right? And there's no volume basically traded between 46.8 and 45.8 here. So this can easily come back to our green box. So you could just have an alert at 44.59. And then remember, you don't want to be the first buyer. You want to actually learn about some additional bullish confirmations that would kind of seal the deal to take your trade. And for JB Hunt, we have one gap here that sits at 184.24. I would just basically place one level there. It's going to have to at least come back to that. Let's see. Looks like we're already seeing some volatility here to the downside. But we will need more though. Let's see. Man, I gotta remember to charge my items a bit more often. Anyways, gonna be placing some alerts here, you guys. So 44.59 for OZK and then 184.24 for JB Hunt. That's gonna at least, we're at least gonna go there for me. We're gonna add some alerts here. And then see what else has earnings. So we have JB Hunt, we covered that, OZK, and then we have Independent Bank. So it looks like it's banking day, guys. Maybe we'll take a look at that as well. That's still $2.7 billion company, so that's perfectly tradable. Let's see if we got any comments on YouTube here. None. All good. It's not really the most interesting day to me personally because there's other banks that I prefer to trade over this, such as, for example, JP Morgan or like ING. But these setups are by all means good. So just having some alerts there that also is going to prevent me from trying to do anything before the time is right, at least for my system here. Let's take a look. What was that third one? Maybe you can get some levels on INDB as well. Independent Bank Corporation. Let's see what this is at. Let's maybe go to the weekly to start. Well, looks like the move long basically already happened, right? This week we're already up 6% for the week. So all of these stocks are basically trading very, very similar. They've had basically 3 green days, and they've all left behind some gaps. And it actually looks like Independent Bank is already coming back down to that respective gap. Let's see. Not too much volume traded though. This is one of the examples where I wouldn't mind just putting, for example, in some Heiken-Ashi candlesticks, because it's so annoying to look at all these holes on the charts. Let me just change this up. I was working with some different color model. Independent Bank. Let's see. Yeah, they're also having their earnings right now. So what I like about this is basically that it has already touched this green box. So that means that it already came back to that daily time frame fair value gap. It looks to me like we basically got a clean level of resistance there at 64.35. And that is something which you could have an alert for and basically play from, right? You could simply look for a long position after this basically gets above, let's say this is a 1 minute time frame. So you'd want to see, for example, a 5 or a 15-minute candlestick closure above this level, and then look for that to flip into a support. Before things touch these green boxes, they're basically sketchy because that green box then acts as a big magnet. Man. Hey, what's up, Jasmine? We're just looking at some earnings on some banks, placed some alerts, and I think we just got a couple more minutes in this because honestly, it's not too much of interest. So I'll basically have myself a level here at 64.35 for INDB. That is really the third thing that is, at least with a tradable market cap. Never really traded this before though. Like maybe we can just cover one more thing, which is JP Morgan. This does not have earnings today. It had earnings recently, or was it today? It was yesterday, right? It was yesterday. In my opinion, if you're going to play any bank, this is basically the most interesting one to me because it's moving into new all-time highs. And when things move into new all-time highs, you basically get very often kind of impulse moves that take you higher. And I basically don't think JP Morgan is done yet. So I am personally looking for more upside. Let me just get that level on there. So I think we're basically going to go for 260 and 269, provided that this is going to hold above 253. And if it gets below 253, I think 245 is going to be the main level that needs to hold. But this is something that if you're interested, for example, in a little bit of a day trade or so tomorrow, this is something that, in my opinion, is even more tradable than anything that has earnings here after hours, right? This is going to have way more volume and way more eyes. So something that you could, for example, look at for JP Morgan as a trade setup is you could have a little bit of a red zone there and basically a main level of resistance right now at 255.49. So let's see what that is in terms of a percentage move, right? Still from 255 to 260, that's about 1.8%. And you could probably cover that with a 2R stop loss. So this is a 15-minute time frame for JP Morgan. This would be a decent trade for me also tomorrow. So say it closes above 255.49. I would then look for that level to basically take us to 260. And you would make sure that from your entry point to 260, you put a stop loss in that is 2R, and you don't let it draw down below 253 at the very, very least, because then you're looking for more downside. So this is, to me, at the moment, the most interesting thing, and it's a very simple, it's not even a real strategy, but last year I played a lot of Apple and Meta as it was making new all-time highs, and then people are trying to make it difficult sometimes by kind of scooping up bottoms here or there. But very oftentimes these obvious moves are just on the things with the highest market cap in the first place. So I always trade my horizontal levels, but even for kind of the lovers of patterns, You could, for example, just look here on JP Morgan. Are we actually going to carve out maybe a little bit of a cup and handle pattern here on the 15-minute? And that's, well, exactly what I want to be a part of. It's not about making this difficult. It's about what I like to do is basically just trade these blue chip stocks. If I'm in profit, I lock it in and I leave some shares running, and then that basically builds a free equity position, which I collect some dividend on, and then so on and so forth. But yeah, that's most of what I got for you guys. So we can just run over the levels maybe once more, and then call it a day. So the first one was JB Hunt, right? Hope my levels are still going to be on here. Sometimes when I go to two charts, it takes off these levels, so we can redraw them real quick. You'd have an alert at 184.24 and at 179.61. These are basically two levels where if price comes there, is going to be a very tradable event. And as I say that, it looks like we just had a good few candlesticks that are actually taking us to these levels. So this is most magnificent. We can maybe kind of follow along here a little bit. This is exactly what you want to see, right? For an earnings move, we just had 4 consecutive green days. This is leaving behind gaps and liquidity. So a very important level for this one is going to be 176.05. If it gets and closes a daily candlestick below that level, I'd seriously consider that this is going down to 168 and then lower for JB Hunt. So that level by all means has to hold with the daily candle closures. As long as that does hold, it's maybe a bit of a good time to look for a setup here. So I hope the setup on JP Morgan makes sense. Let's make this one a little bit bigger. So as it gives you candlesticks, right, it's going to give you relevant information for tomorrow. So for example, what I would do is I'd simply look, all right, big 15-minute red candlestick. Looks like we're going to leave behind a gap with a very important resistance, which I could now simply wait for us to get back above it with a 15-minute closure that is going to be aligning with a break higher probably. So that's going to be 185.72. So that would be kind of a setup where it dumps, grinds its way back up, and then it would make this red box an orange box, and we look for more upside. But what would be really, really good is if we could come down here and do something like this, where we make maybe 1 or 2 more lower highs, and then all of a sudden we make a higher high, and we look for one of these levels to basically flip into a support. So that level would be 179.61, and that's going to be a daily low from Tuesday. And then you can just remember that daily closes below 160 at 176.05, then you'd look significantly lower. And I think then not getting out of a position, for example, if you hold it, is maybe a trading mistake. But of course, you do your own research. You'd actually love to see it, right? Some little pump and dump action with more dump than pump. That's kind of my favorite scenario. I always prefer to see charts coming down a little bit. Did we maybe also make such a move on OZK then? No, quite the opposite. Could have known because my alert didn't pop off here. So definitely not buying into this anytime soon. This is when I see something like this, you guys, right? And this is going to be one of the last things I say right now, but might be important. If I see, for example, that yesterday had a low at 44.56 and today we had a low at 44.64, right? I'm not just thinking, oh, higher low and go. I'm thinking that's a good level where everybody here earnings long, and then we at least come back there, if not lower. So I would say number one setup for me, JP Morgan. Then JB Hunt looks very good around these levels, which we just drew in. OZK, not interested to touch it until it basically hits an alert. So I hope that makes some sense to you guys, right? Maybe the last thing what I'll do to give you guys some sweet levels is you don't want to make this complicated. If the market wants to nuke down, you want to make sure that you stay solvent to bid kind of just obvious relative equal lows where there's going to be a lot of liquidity. So if anything, you always have to have some plunge protection levels where you're not going to be surprised, right? When the market nukes, for example, exactly, look, 150.2, that's all very, very possible. And if something like that occurs, then yeah, you're probably going to get an easy bounce back out of it. So I'm not always just looking up, up, up. Anyways, I'll see you guys tomorrow in the Discord, and I'll make sure to update, especially here on JP Morgan, because I think it's going to make a move soon that is going to take us higher, kind of like Meta and Apple last year, where you're just kind of all-time high, all-time high, all-time high, and you can get a lot of just long positioned moves out of this. It's nice to meet you, Jasmine. I'm sure you're gonna vibe well with the community and the people are gonna like it. I for sure, right? I've heard just a few things about what you do, but I'm all I'm all for it. Like Porter here knows, I send him the screenshots, like the 15-second trades, the blip blop, the 5 seconds, the 3-second time frame out there. I don't have the experience which you have for sure, but I like some lower time frame trades and some in and out as well. Anyways, um. Yeah, bro. We do it all. The 30-second time frame up there is up there for a reason, you know that. Because the 30-second time frame is a good time frame to be on. You're quick to move, you're agile, you're not like these boomers always slow. Let's wait 5 months for confirmation. No, bro. There's money to be made in and out. Get them ticks ready. Honestly, I think Jasmine, you would be most immaculate on something like Rollbit. Probably you've heard about something like that, right? It's where you get the high leverage tick charts in and out, and it's much fun. You basically get to lose $50 100 times in a row, and then you get to turn $50 into 5 or 6 figures, depending on luck. Anyways, nah, I'm just a simple guy. I was explaining Porter here today how I'm a simple guy. I eat rice and pasta and pizza, and I'm a constant observer of these markets, and I like to trace them. So I'll keep doing this. Anyways, let's see on YouTube. Is there anybody still active, engaged? Oh, there is actually a question from some minutes ago. Do you collect dividend with options? Honestly, bro, this is a great question. Whoever asked it on YouTube, this is a question which I would basically need to ask myself because I am not an options bro. I am extremely, extremely basic in my understanding of that. So I actually don't know, bro. I always collect and trade the equity myself, at least in the stock market, right? Mm-mm-mm. Maybe you guys, just to kind of fill out the half an hour, let's just kind of, because we're at it, right? One of the charts that I actually think looks most immaculate this year to go higher is going to be Starbucks. We've recently nuked in one of these big green gaps, right? And the reaction out of it is what I would call immaculate, right? What I want to see exactly if price comes back into one of my big green boxes is that it's going to basically hold from the upper part and that it immediately or as quick as possible is able to basically escape that gap. So what I am personally thinking, you guys, and this is, look, you want to take maybe if you're interested for like a very, very easy swing long position on Starbucks where you don't even have to do anything this week, right? All you do is you place yourself a level on the high of last week. What is that? That's 94.5, right? Right. If this week, so by the end of by tomorrow at closing time, right? By tomorrow 4 p.m. If you close above 94.5, right? You do nothing. And then on Monday, you look to set a limit bid at 94.5, and that's your entry to your swing trade for Starbucks. And you're basically placing your swing stop loss 5% lower on the low there of September at 185.3. That is now a decent stop loss in my book because we've basically already taken the stops under that low. And what are you targeting? You're targeting a simple 2R above these highs and basically to that high from November 2023, right? So this is as simple as it comes. You basically do a whole bunch of nothing. Do you close above 94.5 tomorrow? Then on Monday, you look to bid that, right? 89.63 is your stop loss and you're looking for 104.24. I mean, that's a 10% move. People like to make these things so complicated, but I think that's pretty manageable, right? So a 5% stop. Maybe I'm like, not maybe, you guys, about a 20% portfolio allocation for me to Starbucks, and I'm already in from lower. I've been doing a little bit of accumulation, so now it's my time to make sure everybody's in, right? And then the bullish news, of course, is coming out. I don't trade news, but I was kind of laughing at the articles this week that they said that they were going to clean up the house, etc. But really, you guys, if anything, this is price action, which you really want to remember, right? So market moving candlestick making a big gap, you go up, and before going to an all-time high, you make sure to basically hit that gap real good. The moment you spring back out, people are basically thinking about years ago when the price was coming down, or they're kind of remembering, well, these candlesticks. But in my opinion, the selling is basically done on Starbucks, and so I'm very, very bullish. Of course, with a stop loss, right? I'm not looking to be a long-term investor on what are these things? TMDX? Let's see. This is something that is, by the way, also very interesting in the sense that it's now coming close to kind of entering a big green box. So I'm actually kind of seeing this name around, right? And I'm thinking to myself, why not keep up with this, right? Looks like this has a big green box out here. And I think, well, what I'm hearing, and this is bullish, right? The fundamentals seem to be in check from what I'm picking up. So if this actually comes in my big green box here for Transmedics, you want to look for something similar as on Starbucks there, where you get into the green box and then you want to make sure to escape it again. I'm looking for a move, but I'm not looking to sit in trades for like half a year. I want things to move into my direction pretty soon after I kind of enter my trades. Otherwise, it's basically just locking up my capital, right? Anyways, that fills the half an hour. I hope it gives you some levels and ideas on multiple charts and not just the ones that had their earnings today. I wish you all a very good rest of your night and happy and safe trading. So hope to see you guys around tomorrow. The market close is maybe it's closed on Monday. Then you look to bid it on Tuesday, champion. Bye bye.